We are ever going to get back to the old America. That's got to be the Democrats' part of the bargain. Stop coming up with radically new and often terrible ideas, and then in the next breath, insist there be no debate about any of it. That if you don't see it right away and go along, you're bad, stupid, and deplorable. As if you were saying, duh, 2 + 2 = 5. Isn't that obvious? Yeah, it's obvious you can't add. You can't just say shit. Math is racist. Queers for Palestine. Looting is cool. Healthy at any weight. If the men's football team played the women's team, it would be a tie. You can't just say shit.
On the latest episode of Real Time with Bill Maher, the comedian once again took aim at the left, blasting their obsession with woke politics at the cost of America's future. The divide between left and right has never been wider, and it keeps tearing the nation apart. Maher argues it's time to truly live up to the promise of the United States, but that dream won't survive if the left refuses to abandon its woke crusade. His words weren't gentle, and they definitely weren't sugar-coated. Let's break it down.
Hey, let's just go right to the granddaddy of bargains now. The left will seriously quash all their loony woke shit, and the right will stop the slide into autocracy. That's really the only card left to play.
Before we roll the clip, I've got to say, I'm with Maher on this one. If the left genuinely wants unity, they need to let go of their obsession with wokeism once and for all. This isn't about silencing progressive voices. It's about recognizing that extreme ideology is tearing the country apart instead of bringing it together. Now, the right isn't spotless either. No side is without blame. But as Maher makes crystal clear, a huge part of today's dysfunction comes from the left's refusal to compromise. And trust me, he's about to prove it.
Have in America is conservatives think the liberals are insane, and they're not completely wrong. Now, I don't think most liberals are insane, but neither do they make it clear they disapprove of the ones who are, and their cowardice in not marginalizing their own crazies has been their downfall. I couldn't get Neil deGrasse Tyson, a genius scientist and preeminent scientific voice in the media, to agree that it was ridiculous for Scientific American and The Atlantic to be claiming that separating sports by sex doesn't make sense. Yes, it does. See, it makes perfect.
Maher throws down the gauntlet, holding nothing back. In his eyes, the woke left has gone completely off the rails, irrational, delusional, and cut off from reality. What makes it worse is that even their so-called intellectual allies, scientists, philosophers, cultural voices, have traded reason for ideology. It's like common sense has been tossed aside and replaced with fragile dogmas that collapse under the slightest pushback. You listen to their policies, their arguments, their moral crusades, and you can't help but shake your head. None of it adds up. None of it feels grounded. Yet somehow, they always twist logic into knots to defend the indefensible. Maher's point cuts deep. When a movement abandons reason for fantasy, the result isn't progress. It's chaos disguised as virtue.
On the left, and when conservatives see it, they say, I'm sorry, we're just not going to go along with reinventing society, often pointlessly, even if we have to cancel democracy to do it. That's what they're saying. They see gender as only a construct and sex is assigned at birth, and they say, we're not doing that. Transing kids by self-diagnosis with no age limit, no parental notification, and no acknowledgement of social contagion, not...
Think about it for a second. How can anyone honestly argue that gender is nothing more than a social construct when biology makes the differences between men and women crystal clear? These distinctions aren't imaginary. They're real, visible, and backed by science. Yet the woke left tries to shut down that conversation, acting as if facts themselves are offensive. And it doesn't stop there. Suggest that children, who aren't trusted to drive, vote, or buy alcohol, aren't ready to make permanent medical decisions, and suddenly you're the crazy one. It's backwards, it's reckless, and it proves how ideology has hijacked reason. Maher calls out the obvious. Ignoring biological truths and exploiting kids for politics isn't compassion, it's a dangerous delusion.
For anyone to come to America, not doing it. Homelessness is a lifestyle. Natural immunity doesn't count anymore. Whiteness is toxic. Penises in women's prisons. Welcoming the intifada. We're not doing it. And so, folks,
Maher doubles down with a brutal list of woke obsessions the left needs to drop, and honestly, none of them are difficult fixes. In fact, letting go of these sacred cows might actually solve the very problems they claim to care about. Take homelessness, for example. Instead of romanticizing it as some kind of alternative lifestyle or turning every sidewalk into an open-air encampment, why not address the real causes? Get people off the streets. Provide actual housing, plus the support to fight addiction, mental illness, or financial collapse, the very struggles that landed them there. That's how you move toward solutions. Leaving human beings to waste away in tents isn't compassion. It's cruelty disguised as tolerance. And the damage isn't limited to them. It spreads, hurting every community forced to live among the decay.
Back to the old America. That's got to be the Democrats' part of the bargain. Stop coming up with radically new and often terrible ideas and then in the next breath insist there be no debate about any of it. That if you don't see it right away and go along, you're bad, stupid, and deplorable. As if you were saying, duh, 2 + 2 = 5. Isn't that obvious? Yeah, it's obvious you can't.
Maher takes direct aim at the woke mob, calling them out for constantly shoving their ideology down everyone's throats. His point is simple. Not everyone is going to think like them, live like them, or buy into the delusions they parade as truth, and that's okay. The real issue is that the woke left can't handle disagreement. They demand conformity. Meanwhile, the rest of us are focused on reality, on families thriving, communities staying safe, and society actually moving forward. Not indulging every passing identity crisis disguised as activism. Forcing people into absurd social experiments isn't progress. It's authoritarianism dressed up as compassion. Maher makes it clear. If the left wants to be taken seriously again, they need to stop dictating how others think, live, or speak. Because freedom is choice, not woke policing.
Safe. Math is racist. Queers for Palestine. Looting is cool. Healthy at any weight. If the men's football team played the women's team, it would be a tie. You can't just say.
Bill hammers home a point that should be obvious, but somehow isn't to the woke left. You can't just invent your own facts and demand the rest of society go along. Facts aren't toys to twist around ideology. They're rooted in reality, science, and logic. Truth doesn't change just because it offends someone's feelings or clashes with a trendy narrative. Yet too often, the left hides in an echo chamber, repeating fantasy until it feels real. Maher says it's time to step out of that bubble and face the world as it is, not as they wish it to be. Only then can we have honest debates and real solutions. Because here's the bottom line. Progress can't be built on delusion. Abandon facts, and you abandon reason itself, and with it, any hope of a functional, united society.